I was hoping that someone had edited that music over this game. Howdy, folks. Welcome to another Industry Influences, a series where we take a look at a video game franchise and examine how it's influenced the industry for better or for worse. And today we are taking a look at the Star Fox franchise. This game was released. This franchise got started in 1993 with the original game on the Super Nintendo. It was created in part because of an effort by Nintendo to have developers push the hardware limitations of the Super Nintendo, as opposed to relying on poorly thought out add-ons like Sega and NEC were doing at the time. The game would be groundbreaking for its 3D graphics and would spawn one of Nintendo's most iconic franchises. Despite that fact, however, Star Fox games have released very infrequently since 1993. There aren't even 10 games of this franchise yet, so you're probably wondering how much influence could this franchise have possibly had on the industry. Well, quite a bit, honestly, and today we're going to take a look at 3 ways that Star Fox has really impacted the video game industry. So, I think the first way that Star Fox has really impacted the video game industry is in regards to the graphics in the original game. Star Fox is often cited as the first console game to make use of 3D polygonal graphics. There were plenty of games at the time that made an effort to create 3D spaces in gaming, stuff like Doom and F-Zero. But with those games, they were trying to create 3D graphics with 2D graphics, with more an illusion than anything. But with Star Fox, the graphics were actually completely 3D. So 3D polygons would rotate and move in real time. It was just a major graphical showpiece for where the industry was headed as far as graphics were concerned. And really, the release of Star Fox really was an indication of where the industry was headed, because primarily because of the graphics, Star Fox would go on to become the fastest-selling video game that Nintendo had ever produced up to that point. Because of that, when it came time to start prepping for the Nintendo 64, they made sure that the system prioritized 3D graphics, and that's something that Sony would follow suit with as well when they started working on the PlayStation. You also saw the dangers of what would happen if you hadn't noticed the writing on the wall, because Sega did not get the memo and actually built the Sega Saturn initially to take advantage of advanced sprite scaling as opposed to 3D graphics, which really bit them in the ass. It's part of the reason why the Sega Saturn was such a mess to program for. So, yeah, we have Star Fox for not just introducing 3D graphics on consoles, but we also have it for showing the big three what the industry was headed for as far as presentation was concerned. The third dimension was just the way of the future. Another way that Star Fox has really influenced the industry is not just in the fact that it made use of 3D graphics, but also in the fact that it was the first franchise to be a 4D game. And what I mean by that is Star Fox 64 was the first video game to have a rumble pack, which was packaged with the game when it came out. Though it could have easily been looked at as gimmicky, the rumble pack really struck a chord with people. Like, every time you fired the lasers, blew something up, or did any of that, you wouldn't just see it happening on screen, which was satisfying enough, but you would actually feel it too. So, it just further immersed you into the game than anyone had ever thought possible at that time. And now, the Rumble Pack is a standard feature in just about any video game console. It'd be hard-pressed to find one these days that doesn't make use of Rumble in any way. In fact, Rumble is starting to become a major component of modern gaming, particularly on PS5 with its DualSense system, where the rumble features in conjunction with different pressures for the triggers even further immerses you in the game. It's actually one of the best parts of playing the PlayStation 5. I remember playing Silent Hill 2 on the thing and, just feeling James' heartbeat start to beat whenever an enemy was nearby. I mean, really immerse you into the game. And we have Star Fox to thank for that, so it's another reason to really appreciate this franchise. But I would say the big reason that Star Fox is such an influence is primarily because it's really a testament to how much you can get out of making a game that is simple and addictive. So, with the original Star Fox, Argonaut Games originally had really big plans for the game. They wanted to have multiple playable vehicles and wanted to have open worlds and stuff like that. But Miyamoto rejected all these ideas, not because he didn't think that these were cool ideas, but they were just that, cool ideas. He encouraged the team to keep things as simple as possible because he figured that would work better with the limited nature of the technology that they were working with. He didn't just want the game to lean on his 3D graphics, he wanted the game to actually be fun to play too. And that design mentality ended up working out big time because the original Star Fox honestly holds up pretty well, all things considered, and it's because the gameplay is so simple. And then when Star Fox 64 came out, they kept the gameplay simple. They did add some new elements such as all range sections and a few missions where you take control of another vehicle. But the gameplay premise was still pretty much the same as it was in the SNES game. And rather than try to make the gameplay more complex, they focused on level design, boss fights, all kinds of creative set pieces and levels, as well as multiple different paths through the game, and it just made for one of the best games Nintendo has ever produced. And it's because they kept the game simple, they didn't try to overcomplicate it, and Star Fox is a testament to that, but the franchise is also unfortunately an indication of what happens when you screw that up too, because they never managed to capture the same magic that we saw with Star Fox 64. Star Fox Assault tried to be a bit more complex with its mission structure and everything, but ironically, it ended up being more repetitive as a result, and it also didn't help that the game was much shorter due to the fact that it didn't have any multiple pathways or anything like that, so that was kind of a disappointment. Star Fox Command, for some reason, wanted to be this oddball strategy game as opposed to on-rails flying game, which, as we saw with Star Fox 64 3D for the 3DS, would have been really good on the DS if they had just done that, but for whatever reason, they felt to do something completely different. And even Star Fox Zero, which was actively trying to be Star Fox 64, couldn't help itself and had to throw in a really weird and complex control scheme with the Wii U gamepad that just ended up not working in the slightest. It's like, what were you guys thinking? That's probably why Nintendo hasn't re-released this game on the Nintendo Switch yet. If they ever do, they just, need to roll out that control scheme. But so much of the game is built around that control scheme that it's just kind of hard to imagine playing it without it. Star Fox and Star Fox 64 really showed how much mileage you can get out of a simple gameplay premise while still making a deep and complex game, rather than trying to get very complex with your systems, your gameplay modes, and all that kind of stuff. The only game I didn't really talk about here is Star Fox Adventures, and the reason I didn't talk about that one is because, it's not even in the same genre as the rest of the series, and there is a story behind that, but that's something for another day. And honestly, I have my praises for Star Fox Adventures when I eventually get to that, but for this analysis, it just wasn't necessary. But yeah, for a franchise that really only has, 6 games to its name, it's impressive how much influence the franchise has had at large. I mean, just the 3D graphics and the Rumble Pack are enough to remember Star Fox. But, you know, it's also a case study in just keeping things simple and just having fun with imaginative design and stuff like that. You know, I would love to see another game like Star Fox 64 with even more levels and pathways through the game, but for whatever reason, no one seems to want to stick to that simple design philosophy that made the first two games such a success. But, you know, even if that has sort of tainted the series' image, you know, it is still a big influence just for its 3D graphics and just for its introduction of the Roll Pack, all of which are now standard features in the vast majority of video games today. But that's going to do it for this installment of Industry Influences, guys. Be sure you join me tomorrow as me and my brother take a look at the very first Star Fox game. I'll see you guys then.